ready for the bass. My DJ, yo, get on the case.
Yeah, today we pretty much made our döner burger, the very first one.
Yay!
It was awesome.
Yay!
It tasted great.
Yay.
It reminded us that this project is something we want to do, that we're interested in, that we're motivated for. I'm trying to poke that little button and alright. So pretty much today we started off by just finalizing the results that we got from the survey. We put it onto graphs and stuff, and we had a look at it and compared it to what we did in the first week, what we tasted in the burgers, and we sort of compared to, we compared what the big corporations had in terms of taste and how their burgers were made, and pretty much we compared that to what people said they wanted, and we found some similarities actually, but also some differences. So the main difference was that people always, almost always, 99%, actually it wasn't 99%, if I'm going to talk in real numbers then I should have the right numbers, but I don't. Lots of people said, most people said that meat was their number one most important thing. For ticking what's important in a burger, everybody chose meat. Like, really, everybody chose meat. And meat was almost always the most important. And that's actually kind of ironic, considering how little meat taste there was in most of the burgers. In the pictures it's always emphasized, so they're trying to, tell people that meat is what they got, and meat is what people want, but they don't got the meat.
They don't got the meat.
That didn't make sense, but essentially we just figured out that people have a lot of value in the meat, and so what we thought about earlier about taking this strong meat taste and putting it into a burger is really the right way to go.
But we also learned that most people don't really like the vegetables so much. Like, only 1 or 2 people said that the vegetables are really important to them.
I think those are vegetarians. So.
Yeah, which is just what we learned from like KFC and McDonald's, because they don't emphasize the vegetables that much. And from our survey, we learned that people don't like the vegetables.
We were
that much.
disappointed that we didn't taste the vegetables so much, but now that we've surveyed it, people actually really don't care. I mean, they're nice to look at. They add to the picture. People always like the green, the like nice lettuce poking out of the side, but they don't really mind if it doesn't taste like vegetables. So
yeah, it's just food for the eyes.
It's more for the looks, yeah. So we're absolutely all right with not having a strong vegetable lettuce or tomato or onion taste. Pretty much also another important thing was the sauce. Cheese and sauce was very, very strong in most of the burgers we tasted. And cheese and sauce was usually people's second or third favorite thing. And it got a lot of picks in the choose your 5 favorite things. So cheese and sauce is definitely important. A lot of people said they like ketchup, and a lot of people they said yogurt sauce. So we're maybe gonna have both. We did have both.
We had both today.
We tried one with both, and one with just yogurt sauce, and one with just ketchup, and we figured that both tastes the best. Like we analyzed from the burgers we looked at, the white sauce mayo or yogurt or something was usually in the top, so we did that, and we put ketchup, I think, under the meat patty. Yeah, and it tasted pretty good, so we're happy with that arrangement. We found out that lots of people want good bread. There was a lot of people who chose bread as the most important, or in the top 3. So we decided to, before we went to the store, we made sort of not really last minute, but we decided to make our own bread instead of buying bread, because we found that usually bread that you buy is quite soggy
and
tasteless. Yeah, we didn't really like it, so we decided to make our own bread, and this is the first time either of us have made bread, so it wasn't that great, but it was better. It was definitely better than anything we had at any of the stores, or anything we're used to from a package, so we're definitely going to have our own bread, and if this were a fast food store, it would be a little bit inconvenient to make your own bread in the store, but I think Subway does that, and it's really great. We figured it tasted so much better. So that's, since people have so much value in that, we decided to go that extra step and make it ourselves, and it worked out really great. Then a big issue was, well, we don't have a döner machine, such as people have in a store or something. So we definitely had a lot of issues with that. Next time, we're gonna have problems with that as well, unless we find some sort of more long-term solution. Because what we did is we tied one vertical, sort of, what is it called?
Metal cooking stick.
Yeah,
Like just basically a metal
cooking
pole.
rod, which we impaled all the meat on. But it was hard to get that to stay vertical. Our thing almost fell over twice, and we had to stabilize it.
With forks.
We weren't supposed to say that. Okay, we did stabilize it with forks in the end because the construction we had just didn't work at all. We overcooked the meat slightly.
Slightly.
I guess if this were a restaurant, they would have figured out. Well, we would have a professional döner machine, so we wouldn't overcook the meat. It would just be constantly cooked and then cut. And we couldn't do it that way. We simply weren't able to cook it and cut it, so we had to cook it all and then cut it afterwards. And what we were gonna do, we took a metal ring, such as people use for cooking round eggs, and it was a pretty tall one, which was important, because we would put the meat in from the top, and it would be in this perfectly round shape. And the first time we added egg to it, to try and keep it together, make it a sort of patty, because it's a lot more convenient to have a patty on the burger, and it doesn't fall out. That's another main issue we had with the döner on its own, is that the meat is sort of not together as it is in a patty.
That is what it was, like one of the main ideas why we chose to create a döner burger, because taking the taste from the döner but the practicality from a burger and combining it to form a döner burger.
This obviously relates back to our first investigation on what we want to do, and it just shows how the research we've conducted and the conclusion we've come to is quite accurate, and how this might actually be something to look into. How about you explain what we did instead of the egg then, which was our better solution to it?
Okay, so we took the metal ring and we put the meat in it, which gave us a relatively round form. And firstly, we planned on mixing the meat with egg to form one sticky patty, but we figured out that the egg would just turn into an omelette at the bottom, and it wouldn't really stick the meat together. So what we decided to do was just lay 2 slices of cheese, because
One slice at first.
One slice at first, and like let it melt and combine all the meat. And because we learned that lots of people like the cheese on their burger, so we put another slice of cheese on it, which again melted and stuck all of it together. Then we took the egg ring off, and it stayed in a perfectly round patty shape.
With cheese.
Yeah, with cheese, melted cheese. And we flipped that, and then we had created our patty.
The meat was already cooked at the point that we put it. It was completely done.
Yeah, we just
so
put it in the pan
all that needed to happen was the cheese to the cheese to keep it together in a patty shape. So I think it's good that it was cooked already by the time we had it in there. We didn't have any concerns for that. So yeah, we could just put it into the burger, and we sort of had some concerns whether döner meat would taste well with the sliced cheese, the typical burger cheese. We didn't make our own cheese. That would take a whole personal project to do. I'm kidding, I'm making jokes. We've seen döner before, we've had döner, we've researched that, with feta cheese, and we figured that in a döner it works quite well. but we weren't sure at all if in a burger would work well, or if the burger cheese would work well with the döner. So we
with
just
the feta, you mean, not with
oh yeah, you're right. The feta would work with the burger, or the sliced cheese would work with the döner. But it worked out well. It tasted great. I think we had 2 extra testers. We had my sister and my mom, and they both agreed that it did taste very good with the sliced cheese. It was convenient in the way that it kept the meat together in the round shape,
which the feta cheese didn't do.
which the feta cheese didn't accomplish at all. So we can completely or essentially remove the egg, which was just kind of not a disturbance, but it was just sort of a waste. It was useless. It didn't work the way we had expected it to.
And having an omelette in your burger kind of tasted
yeah,
weird.
it didn't taste good either.
Because when our first practice was with egg, and that one you could clearly taste the egg, and it felt like you had an omelette in your burger, which wasn't really that nice. And then in our second try, we just left out the egg, and it tasted a lot better. So in our final one, we won't add any egg, and because the feta cheese didn't stick all the meat together, which was one of the
priorities
which it had to
accomplish.
We will probably take the sliced cheese, because not only does it taste better,
in our opinion, and in the opinion of the testers.
Yeah, but it also accomplishes the job of sticking all the meat together and creating one patty, which was one of the main ideas which we took from the burger.
I mean, we were actually quite worried at the beginning about if it would work the way we had anticipated, that you have the meat in this ring and then it stays together. But with this cheese, it has worked out very nicely. We know now that all of our ideas pretty much work. Our buns, like said, were great. The yogurt sauce, which we added some spices to, not that many, were great. No, the sauce was great, not they were great. We had lettuce Lollo Rosso, it was called. It was very curly. It looks great, and it tasted fine, so we're probably going to use that also for the picture.
But we'll have to watch out that we don't overemphasize the salad like KFC did with their salad.
Yeah.
Because it's not, as Mark already said, it's not a döner lettuce burger, but just a döner burger, so we'll have to watch out that we don't overemphasize.
We'll make sure that we don't, I mean, the one I had, which was the one with the cheese instead of the egg, I had quite a bit of lettuce. But even then, it was so underpowered, because I think lettuce is mostly water. It didn't have a very strong taste. I had two slices of tomato and 4 like rings of onion. And they had a nice flavor to them. They added to the meat, but they didn't overpower it. And I think our ratio was fine. We had, I don't know, roughly 1.5 centimeters of meat in the bottom of the ring. We'll have to see how much that weighs. And 2 slices of cheese. And the taste was very balanced the way we had that.
It tasted a lot like meat, but you could also taste part of the veggie, but it didn't, as Mark already said, overwhelm it. And it was a nice ratio. I liked it.
I mean, the second one we had with the 2 slices of cheese without egg at all, it even looked quite good. I mean, we didn't try to make it look good. We simply hoisted the meat from the pan into the thing. We added the lettuce and the tomatoes. But it looked great. So if we would sell this and people would open up their box, which looks great because we designed it, and the product would look as good as it does or similarly good as it does on the picture without any effort. I mean, if it takes 5 minutes to make it look good, then it wouldn't be economic to have that in every store. But if we can make something that's easy to make and looks good every time, and people open it and they're not disappointed, they're surprised,
We'll be rich.
Then we'll be rich. You just threw me off there. It's more successful because every time you go to a usual fast food chain, you open it and you're like, what have I got here? But it looked great. It tasted great. I mean, we might. What do you think?
After the meat was done, it all went relatively quick. We took about 4 minutes as non-professional burger builders. to build the burger, and it looked good. As Mark already said, it tasted great. So if we were to have this in a store, and the people were good at it, then we would it would probably sell, and the people wouldn't have to wait there for so long. Of course, it would take longer than at McDonald's because their burgers don't look as good as ours did, but it will still be manageable.
I'm pretty sure in the UK there's a gourmet burger chain which delivers quick burgers that are also at a higher standard than typical fast food, and from what I know, they're quite successful. So maybe the concept of investing a minute extra per burger, but making each one look and taste better, is the way to go. What do you think we could improve? What do you think went wrong?
Okay, so, yeah, as Mark already said, we overcooked the meat. We'd have to be more careful with that next time. And we also forgot, we forgot to, as in a doner, you have to slice, after like 10 minutes of cooking, you have to slice the outside layer off so that it doesn't get burned. But
yeah, every time
we didn't do that,
yeah.
So the outside was slightly burned and the inside was
well done.
It was well done, yeah. So we'd have to watch out there and every 10 minutes slice it off. But
it's a great difficulty though, because we don't have a machine like that,
and because our construction wasn't perfect.
I mean, they can shear it off every time the outer layer is cooked properly, and that just I mean, if we would have a restaurant, it would be great because they would be enabled to cut it off every time, put it into the ring, put cheese over it, and cook it. And it would be a lot more convenient. So our difficulty is mainly with our setup.
Yeah, and because our construction where the meat was on wasn't really stable, it was hard to cut it off. So we'd either have to build a new construction or
I mean, we considered investing in one of those home doner machines, but it's quite expensive, and I guess it would be just difficult to do.
And if it works as well as the professional ones do, is also
yeah, exactly. It's debatable, or well, we don't know until we've actually bought the thing, and once we've bought it, if it works well, because it would be kind of a waste if it doesn't function the way it's intended. But we're happy with our construction. We know what the fault was. We know that if we can keep it to stay vertical, which we couldn't do this time, it'll be a lot better and more stable. And that was pretty much the only issue, I would say.
Yeah.
Actually, it was a great turnout today. It tasted great. Well, when we took the meat from the inside, not the burned meat.
It looked really good.
It looked
better
really
than we expected.
So much better than we expected. We thought this first one would be quite terrible. We hadn't had experience. I mean, making burgers isn't really the hardest thing, but making a burger where you have to sort of cook the meat twice, making our own buns, everything seems so complicated.
We're satisfied.
We're absolutely satisfied. We might have to have one more session where we try to make it more perfect.
Yeah. Fix our meat problem.
Make that turn out as good as we want to.
And then I think we're
maybe quantify everything. We used 50 grams of meat in one patty. We used 20 grams of cheese in this, and that ratio was what we liked.
Yeah.
Maybe we were just lucky with, I don't know, the ratios. We might have to experiment around with that. And then, of course, the picture burger is a whole new story. We looked into that a little bit, and you sort of have to set everything on it individually and fasten it with toothpicks and stuff. So that's going to be taking it to a whole new level. We're probably going to cook the meat differently. We're not going to even do it on a steak. We're going to cut it beforehand or something. But that's a whole different story. We're going to do that in maybe 2 weeks.
Further on.
Yeah. Maybe next week we can start on our box as well. So...
Now, fat boy, are you ready for the bass? My DJ, yo, get on the case.